Yes, my people, welcome back to AFTV. Welcome back to another AFTV Live. I am joined by James. James, how are we? Listen, let's just start with, you guys, you will see it on the channel. It's out right now. We did a live this afternoon, reviewing the last episodes of the All or Nothing documentary. For people that don't know, it'd be myself and James that stayed up to watch it. So we wait till 1 a.m. or just past 1 a.m. to watch it, write notes and review it in a sense, so we're prepared for what we saw, which is currently on the channel, the review that we did today. Are you feeling the effects of that? Because I certainly am right now.
I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted. Yeah, but it's been a busy few days. But
it's been very full
listen,
on.
Can't complain. Arsenal are in good form. Things seem to be going well and right at the moment. So, you know, you enjoy it. And look, All or Nothing, I won't say too much on it because the review's out there for people to go see. And at the end, we kind of give our thoughts on the whole series as an 8-episode collection. You know, those two weren't great to watch. You know, obviously because things didn't go well. So I'm just laughing at James putting in extra FTV shifts. But watching the way we collapsed wasn't great, and there were some nice moments in there.
Yeah. And
then I look back at the series as a whole. It was okay. We go into depth in the stream, but
which we do, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions on it because we've done so much talking about it. And I'm going to get a poll in the chat for this one. All or Nothing Arsenal edition, good thing or bad thing? Because before, a lot of people saw it was going to be a joke due to obviously where we finished and all the mishap and the disappointment of the end of last season. But all in all, after watching it, definitely changed my perspective. People in the chat and people watching and listening on, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I know there might be some other fans in here, but there might be other rival fans that actually enjoyed it. I spoke to a lot of fans that aren't Arsenal fans and it did like what they saw from the All or Nothing documentary. Really got a lot of respect for Arteta from it. So, James, for you, good thing or bad thing is the first question, all in all?
I think it's more good than bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people have come out of understanding Arteta's management techniques, understanding how hard he is on the players and when he chooses to be hard. That's the important thing. You know, you look at some of the games after Liverpool, after City, after Chelsea, those defeats, he didn't get onto the team. He recognised that it was an uphill battle and he appreciated the efforts. After Tottenham, you know, as bad as that was, he recognised there was another opportunity, he needed to pick the players up. But once Newcastle came and went, you know, that was it. That was when you saw him, you know, really, I was about to say venomous. I mean, that's harsh, but he was very kind of, the sting in what he said.
Yeah,
you know, the way he said, you know, shut your mouth and swallow it. You know, he was basically saying, you take your medicine, you take what's coming now. And that, I think, people would like to see because there was someone telling them how we felt. Now, obviously, who's telling Arteta? Because he would have made mistakes throughout this, and who's telling him that he got things wrong? Well, the media, everyone who, you know, just has an opinion on football, whether it be on a YouTube channel, whether it be on social media, whatever. So, you know, there's that. But I think we understood Arteta in terms of how he manages this group, and I think we understood how this group enjoy their wins, but how they suffer with us when things don't go right. So I think because of that, it largely has been a good thing. I wouldn't call it success. I mean, what's a success? You know,
let's not use that word because we got pretty heated on the review about, you know, people Vinay saying about success and what that means. But yeah, I wouldn't say. We would never call it a success because it obviously as well the season.
Did it give us some context and did it humanise a few? You know, did it humanise everyone really? And maybe think about, because we always feel so distant from them. Does it maybe change the way we kind of understand that relationship? Maybe it did for me, but
and me too. And a follow-up question of it is just following on from that, and people in the comments, would you want to see another one in the future for Arsenal?
No. Do you know why I said no?
Wow.
Because in like 10 years or something, or I hope they're getting footage so that if we ever have a successful season, they can release a documentary.
Right, like what like how they missed out on the Invincible.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
You know, everyone keeps saying they would love to have seen the Invincible documented that season.
Just who is saying that I'm speaking as slow as Harry Maguire in defence? I mean, fair play. That's a good one. But you said that, and now I'm stumbling, and now I can't stop thinking about Harry Maguire on a recovery run. Why I wouldn't? Because the one thing I can imagine for these players is, even though you probably get used to it, you know the cameras are there, you see them. It's kind of like, I don't know how to. Okay, I'm going to use it's going to sound supremely arrogant. I know it's not the same thing, but you know when like Jason is filming like
behind the scenes, and stuff.
Access all areas, AFTV, and you just see him come round the camera, and you're just sitting having a chat with Lee or Charlene or whoever. And you're not saying anything mad, you're not doing it, you're just chatting. But suddenly your brain goes into, I'm on camera mode. Yeah. And I just wonder whether, please, I'm not trying to say I understand what it's like. I'm saying that if in that tiny way, it makes me alter my behaviour, but kind of be more conscious. I can imagine it being just a constant thing in their mind. That's all. They might have got used to it, but I'm glad that now they can kind of quietly go about everything and not think, well, is that going to be in the documentary? Oh, do you know what? I lost my head a little bit. Take Lacazette, right? He won't be particularly proud of that moment with Cedric and the youngster that he kicked and all that. And here we are making a joke out of it. But when that happened, who's to say he's not in the changing room going, the documentary got that, didn't it? All these other incidences that happen all over the place probably aren't getting documented, but that one will be.
100%.
You know,
100%.
like I think in that sense it can maybe.
I love the way you summed up. I love the way you summed up that opinion of saying no to that, because as much as they always say it's like the cameras are not there, we forget they're there. They will remember after something like that happens, that incident, they will go back and think, like you just said there, and like, oh, was that on camera? And then they're going to maybe alter their actions the next day or whatnot, and it can feel intrusive. So I understand why you said, just once is enough. And if I'm honest, you don't want to continue seeing season after season unless there is a big success, I suppose, like the Invincibles, which everyone is dying out for. When there was rumours about Netflix having footage and that Invincible season, shame it didn't actually come to fruition, but that would be incredible. But anyway, enough talk.
But just the last thing. It's good practice for all these media departments. These are massive corporations, right? There are local schools that have YouTube channels, and I understand that Arsenal will be, posting the odd training video and and all that. I like, when we sign a player, the behind the scenes, tick. I love all that, but just film everything. Just as in between the media, they're not going to be bothered about it. They know it's not going to go out unless it's something positive or it's something whatever, but just film it, because that 1920 season, for example, when everything went down the drain and then we end up winning the FA Cup, wouldn't it have been great just to have this? I'm not saying they need to release a DVD on us winning the FA Cup, but what I'm saying is, you want to capture those moments. So I just think it's good practice to just be constantly, trying to keep a record of these things, filming, checking in with Arteta, having the odd internal interview. How do you feel about certain things? And then go from there. Yeah,
and I, this, obviously I run a company called Talent Transfer. I mentor young players, and I always say have second avenues, and I say YouTube and the fascination of footballers' lives is such a big thing in today's society. So that is another career. I mean, you see players do it. Alphonso Davies has his own YouTube. He does TikTok and whatnot. He does a lot of documentation.
Doesn't he have a song as well?
He has a lot of stuff.
Right.
He does a lot. Let's just say Turkish would not like Alphonso Davies doing his extra
quality
stuff.
Player though.
Yeah, very good player actually.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he's been as good recently for Bayern, but a couple of years ago, you couldn't ignore him.
100%. That'd be something I know Turkey shouldn't be so happy with. But players are doing extra stuff. Same with like Ben Foster. I know, has been some players that didn't love him always having a camera out on his YouTube channel. But the amount of access and the things we got, the things we saw through his channel on YouTube was for me as a nice insight. Yes, I knew quite a lot about training grounds, what happens, and travelling and staying in hotels and whatnot. But for the wider audience, things like that, it's good practice and it's good training. Like you said, it'd be nice to have someone or something that can attach you to certain moments of a club if someone's capturing that. So I think it's good practice, just not every day in your face, like you said there, you do change habits when there's a camera just always on. So yeah, that is something to definitely to think upon. Now, yesterday, under 21s game went ahead against Swansea. Now, the reason why we're highlighting this is because two players that I kind of want to touch on, mainly Fabio Vieira, but also Smith Rowe did get minutes. They won the game 2-1 after going down though. First, Swansea got the first goal, and everyone was kind of focusing on Fabio Vieira and seeing what quality he possessed. So we've been waiting to see him play for a while. What is he going to do? Where is he even going to play? Now we know how versatile he is. I know you knew about Fabio Vieira before he signed at Arsenal and knew more than I'm definitely going to say myself on the player. So it was interesting, and I've got a quote from Arteta. The reason why it's interesting is because it showed what position he played and what he deployed him at. So the quote is coming up on the screen now. It says, Arteta requested that Fabio Vieira played on the right-hand side for the under-21s on Wednesday. This is via Football London. Now, for the people that didn't get to see it, it was streamed on the Arsenal website. If you didn't, I watched the whole game. If you didn't get to see it, he played 45 minutes and he played on the right. Mm-hmm. This throws up a lot of questions, throws up a discussion, because obviously we have Pepe, we have Xhaka, we have players that can also interchange that right position. But
we have Marquinhos now as well.
We have Marquinhos, who recently has been featuring in the under-21, scoring goals as well. Mm-hmm. A player that was supposed to be for the future, but has been, I mean, Xhaka speaks about how physically developed he is, and you know he could be used at some point in this season. So very, very interesting. But the main one is Fabio Vieira playing that position, and what I thought and what we took from his performance. Now I watched it. I'll be completely honest. Didn't get on the ball loads. But when he did, he was very neat, very tidy, very technical. You can see he's a technical player. Very technical player. Very composed. Tried little things. I think I remember him trying to nutmeg a player as well. So it can be quite cheeky. But one thing I did very much see and think, ooh. And we always pull to this, is the physicality of the player. I think adjusting to the Premier League, coming from when you haven't played there for many years, physicality is one thing that you spot out straight away when they're not they haven't adapted. So that is something I worry about, because against the under-21s, he didn't look like he was much bigger. I know he's a small player. He didn't look like he was physically being able to protect the ball. I just think he had very quick and neat feet. Is that the sort of player you want playing on the right? Do you think there still needs to be someone that needs to come in on that right-hand side? Because Pepe is a different profile to Fabio Vieira. Xhaka obviously dominates that position, but the second call is Pepe, and I think Fabio Vieira is completely different to a Pepe style player.
Well, it feels to me that Arteta might be coming at a it reminds me of a Jimmy Carr joke. People say crossroads, but it's more of a T-junction because you're going one way. Anyway, if you've seen Jimmy Carr, you'll know the joke. I do love Jimmy Carr. Anyway,
Jimmy Carr.
So the point is, he's coming to a point where he kind of either goes, I think he's getting to a point where he's got to make a decision on whether he wants to bring in, you know, a right winger or a midfielder. I know you can only really get one of real quality. We spent quite a bit of money. We're not exactly offloading players for big fees at the moment. I think there's maybe one more big buy in there, which is why we might be holding off on Tielemans. It might be why we're just waiting to just see what the market's saying, what's available before we decide where we want to go spend the money. Maybe Tielemans comes in on a free next summer instead. I just think he wants to get Vieira playing those minutes on the right to see what he's going to get out of him there. Listen, I didn't watch the game. I saw some highlights and a little montage go around on socials. Been meaning to catch up with it. And
you see Cedric's free kick, or have you not seen that yet? Because I'd advise you to
no, I don't think I have seen it.
Cedric's free kick was a great goal. But
you know, I thought I'm with you. I think he looked neat. And I think he looked, you know, quite smart on the ball, and clearly wasn't trying to force anything or do too much. And that's fine. You know, why not? But I think Arteta was thinking, if we see a player who looks really comfortable out there. You know, in this game and maybe a 20-minute appearance against Bournemouth, he might think, okay, well, the central midfield is a priority. But I don't know, and vice versa. If he were to play better in central midfield, he might go, okay, Vieira can do a job there. I keep umming and ahhing about which one I want. We need both, but honestly, either or would, I think, help us significantly.
Yeah, I think Arteta's trying to problem solve here. I think he's trying to say, you know what, we have this player, very versatile. We need to cover that side at some point. We can't rely on Xhaka the whole season. Maybe just thinking, you know what? Let's just try him out, and if it works, it can work. But main focus could be that midfielder, because that seems to be everyone's focus. We need a Tielemans like player or player to cover Xhaka. So maybe he was just trying to problem solve, and I think an under-21s game is the best place. That is the best place to trial something that, you know, you want to see work, and especially when as a player come back from fitness as well. It made sense. I wasn't shocked that he played there, to be honest. So interesting, but it'd be interesting to see where he tries to deploy him in the first team. Now I'm just going to read some super chats. Before I do that, I'm going to go to the poll. All or nothing, good or bad for the club. Good was 85%, won that, winning that, with 15% saying bad. And that was it for the poll. Thank you everyone that got involved. There's about 1,000 of you that got involved there. While there's 1,000 of you clicking that button, make sure you click the like button and click subscribe as well. If you're being able to click on the vote, then you should surely can click to subscribe. Same thing, the same motion. Do it. Come and join us. Plenty of content coming your way and a lot of big plans for the future. Right, let me just quickly go to the super chats, and I want to kind of speak to you about, and I spoke to Turkish about this, the state of the club right now. Very good position. I'm going to show contrast, obviously, of last season and whatnot, but we'll get into that in a second. We have a super chat here from Harvey who says, big up Harvey. I'm thinking of Harvey that works here, but it's clearly not going to be him. But big up Harvey. Premier League is talked about as the best league in the world. Why don't they get the best referees in the world? Hold on, bear with me. Let me see if I can find this. Disregarding nationality and gender. Officials.
Is it right? So we only have English refs in the country. Is that right? Yeah, I believe that's the case.
Yeah, I believe that.
Don't know. Crazy to me. It's crazy to me. What, why should we not have, refs, from all over the world, men and women? Why not? I don't know why. We've seen it. How many World Cups and Euros have we said there's only one English ref, or there's no English refs, or whatever? But I don't know. I mean, that. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. I can't answer it. I can't explain it. It's
It's fascinating, and the inconsistencies of the officiating is phenomenal. To just when I watch and think, like, I just keep going back to the hair pull on the weekend. And it was just like, I just can't believe that. And obviously, we watched All or Nothing. We watched back the North London derby, and you saw the Cedric foul that gave the penalty for Tottenham. And even for me, that was soft. But to see someone get their hair actually dragged down and not even.
The thing I'll say about that one, right? So that was that was a VAR error more than a refereeing error.
Okay.
But even before it's a VAR or a refereeing error, it's an error in the rules, because as far as I'm aware, they don't actually discuss. They don't really have a rule for hair pulling. So the one thing I'd say is that, for all we say about the refs, and undoubtedly there's problems there, the first thing we need to do is get it right from above, which is understanding the rules. And this is where clubs can play a part. Now, I might be wrong on this. So again, and I always say this in shows, just let me know in the comments if this is wrong. But as far as I'm aware, when sort of rule changes are brought in and whatever, and referees speak to the clubs before the start of the season, and they tell them, right, this year we're going to let more things go. We're going to let more things go. We're going to be a bit more lenient when it comes to aggression on the pitch. Yeah, and we've seen that. And as far as I'm aware, clubs and players all sign up to it and go, yeah, fine. So we need clubs as well to be a little bit more savvy and go, well, hold on. You always be looking for these. Well, what if this happens? Well, what if that happens? Well, because then when something happens and it goes against you, but actually there's never a rule for it, or you never challenged it in the first place, that's when it's like, well, okay, but you signed on to this. So we can talk about the referee all we like, but somewhere there's been a flaw in the rules, and there's lots of people it goes through. The whole rules about, well, what is violent conduct? And that's where I have a bit of an issue. So, listen, VAR has its problems. I did a video on my own channel about it, and I specifically said VAR because the referee in that situation, listen, he's watching a corner, there's a lot going on. I don't really blame him for missing it. He got other things wrong in that game, don't get me wrong. But the hair pull, that's a problem that goes all the way to the top in the way we're officiating those kind of things. That's not just the referee, just decided he didn't want to. Yeah, but he didn't even get to see it back.
Yeah, well, this was ridiculous. And the people saying, like you mentioned there's not a rule for it. But that's what I was getting told. I was like, well, I'm sorry, there's not a rule for me running into the chamber, pick up a water bottle and throwing it at a player's head. But that should be a red card if it happens. Like, do you know what
there's
I mean?
A degree of common sense, but
you got to have. Come on.
But these refs, I think they get scored after. I think they do. Everything gets marked, and
especially in the Premier League as well. Normally you get assessed in obviously lower leagues, but I think during the Premier League games, I think almost every game you're being assessed, and you can be told you're not officiating for this week because of how your score is in the previous match. So that's.
But I think you can compare it to a maths paper, and what I mean by that is, and I was shit at maths. I was awful at it, but I think what I mean by that is, when they're applying the rules on a pitch, incident happens, they've got to think about what the rule dictates, and they've got to apply the law the way that rule says it should. So and ultimately they make a decision from that. So they can't always divert massively and go, yeah, but common sense dictates that we should do this. It goes back to that. Do you remember that David Luiz one? When his knee scraped.
Oh my God, was that against Wolves?
He gave a red card and a penalty.
That was unbelievable.
But there wasn't really a rule to officiate for that kind of thing. Because they were saying, but if you haven't made a genuine attempt, then it's a red card.
And
but then there was nothing to be said for total, complete and utter freak accident. You know, and so that's where we still got a long way to go. This game's been played for many, many years. I think they're just celebrating 30 years of the Premier League, and we've got a long way to go in terms of clearing up.
Great point.
And by the way, people can't tell me that it can't work, because I know it's you know, micro tournaments and compared to a Premier League, but the World Cup, for example, is, you know, how many teams are there? 32, maybe more. I think it's 32 teams. No, 64. How many teams are in the World Cup?
Oh, in the World Cup, I think it's 64.
64, yeah. 64 sounds like a lot.
Double check. Anyway, it does sound like a lot, but I'm sure it is.
The point is, they've managed to have a competition with that many teams in the 2014 World Cup. Was it 2014 or 2018? The point is, one of them rolled out VAR for the first time. I think it was 2018. People were saying 32. Yeah, I was going to say.
Maybe I'm
64
going crazy.
Sounded like a lot.
32.
Yeah, I was thinking 64 sounds mad. But then
32.
anyway, so sorry. They had it at the 2018 World Cup and it wasn't a problem.
Yeah.
VAR, from what I remember, worked great. So there is a way to implement it that is at least far more digestible and palatable than what we've got right now.
Yeah, 100%. Just quickly end this with a comment. Says James has a channel ? Okay, plug a channel.
Oh no, yeah, I do. Hello. It's just James B. I just talk about other football things. But thank you for.
Go check it out, honestly, and go subscribe to his channel. Big up, James.
By the way, I don't do any Arsenal stuff on there, so you might hate it. I just do general football stuff and sport and other things.
Yeah, but it's a good channel, guys. Go check it out.
And I have little Pokemon props on my set.
Go support James. There's some good reviews and some good talking topics, especially in the world of football, regardless if it's about Arsenal or not. Make sure you go ahead and check it out.
These trolls in the comments, by the way, people saying 88 teams, 69 teams, 9,547. Yeah.
Do you know what? Before, I want to carry on with the super chats, but I need to. You posed a question in there about 30 years of the Premier League, and just while we're here, because I like talking about football and just other things, and people in the comments get involved in this. So what is the biggest, 30 years now, what is the biggest downfall that does need to improve? Is the officiating the one thing? But you can't just say officiating, because it has to be either the ref, VAR, or is there something else in the game that you think, boy, they need to get rid of this, if that's high salaries for players, or high signing on fees for players, or the sport washing? Like, what is the one thing? 30 years, yes, the game's definitely improved quality-wise, and whatnot, but there is still a long way to go. What is one thing that really gripes you off? And people listening, I'd love to know, what's the one thing you need to see improve in the next 10 years? Diving. It gets on your nerves that much?
It's not that it gets so much on my nerves. It's just that it's actually, in my opinion, quite easy to officiate. As in, not spot in the moment, but what I mean is, if someone's dived, you know, and you've got it, and VAR spotted it, you know, people might think that I'm going mad here. That this is like really over the top, but sin bin them or something. 10 minutes off the pitch. Fair. Like if you are acting to, by the way, Arsenal players do it. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
But if you're acting to, you know, essentially cheat and gain an advantage, you know, there should be much higher quantum. At the moment, we might pull out a yellow card.
Yeah, rarely ever do.
Jamie Vardy the other day, what he did was disgraceful.
That's very true.
But it's also not, because it's just become part of the game now. But I would want Arsenal and every team to be punished far more highly for that kind of thing. And maybe a sin bin's the way to do it. I was thinking about sin bins, you know.
Sin bins is not a bad point.
But how exciting would they be, right? Because I was watching again Chelsea Spurs, and I saw Reece James pull back Son without a counter, 4v3, 3v2, something like that. Anyway, James pulled him back. I remember thinking he took the yellow card, and I thought, it's not really a punishment, that. Because all he's got to do is just not really be stupid, you know, and not really overly commit into any challenges, and he'll get through this game just fine. It hasn't weakened Chelsea in any real way, bar defensively. Going forward hasn't done anything for them. And so it got me thinking, like, if you had a sin bin, and Reece James was sin binned for that very, very cynical attempt to stop a man without making any attempt to win the ball.
Yeah.
How exciting would it be if for 10 minutes, forget Spurs, you know, obviously we hate them, they're our rivals, but how exciting would it be if for 10 minutes Spurs, who had been battered up to that point, suddenly had 10 minutes in which they could go at Chelsea? Do you know what I mean?
It'd be so good, and also it would make, you'd see the tactical side of teams even more.
Right, yeah.
In the sense of how to really target a player, get him sin bin, and then tactically attack that area or find that fault and win a game. So that would
imagine it's like, are you really going to pull him down? Like, do you really want to take a sin bin for that? You know, it might be. It gets people thinking about how they use them, but I just think it could make for a really exciting. Imagine Arsenal are. Tomiyasu did this the other day. Arsenal winning. They look to break and Tomiyasu's just grabbed and pulled him back. He gets suddenly Leicester, who had very little in the game, sure scored a couple goals, but really was struggling to get a foothold. Suddenly they go, we're up against 10 men, and Arsenal have a very different test to overcome here. I think that could be really good. I think it could level out the playing field. We know Man City are the best when it comes to tactical yellows. Yep. Imagine that, ironing itself out a little bit. I don't know. I think it could be fun. I think there's a few things, challenge systems, and I won't bore you guys.
No, that is this and that was. I thought 30 years of the Premier League is a question that has to be put to you. I enjoyed it. I've seen some people in the comments getting involved as well. One person says a salary cap. Says Kevin. Like this one, James says price to watch games. Also something that does need to maybe sometimes the prices are crazy.
Just like the cost of being a fan, essentially watching. Well, listen, inflation's taken everything. Football shirts are so much more. I remember when they were 30 quid than video games. I used to remember football shirts and video games. So do you think if I wanted the new Arsenal shirt, the new Pokemon game, it's costing me 60. Now it's 70 just for the one shirt. But that's
crazy, isn't it?
Inflation. Hey, listen, I saw that energy bill come through the other day. I nearly had a heart attack. Nearly moved out. So,
people agree, and some people say cheating. Some people say financial fair play. Alison says get rid of the referees.
Well, financial fair play is a really good one because, how much do you want to impact these clubs in terms of the ability? How much do you want to restrict these clubs in their ability to use their finances to go for a more even game, tighter game across the divisions? I don't know.
Listen, we're going to go to Hadi's super chat here. It says 2 signings sounds doable, midfield and forward. And I think that's on everyone's lips right now is we need to do a Xhaka replacement and obviously look at the wing position. What profile would you guys choose for each position? Premier League proven, a hidden gem or big name? Much love from Egypt. So for each position, so let's look at the midfield. What qualities were you looking for, James, if you were looking at the midfielder? So you'll be linked heavily to Tielemans. I think Paqueta's in there as well. Some Milinkovic-Savic. Hadi said, what would you prefer quality-wise? Would it be Premier League proven, hidden gem, or a big name?
Premier League proven. Premier League proven would be the one. I think we've had a few hidden gems, and we're turning them into potentially,
I agree with that.
They're diamonds in the rough, I think, 100%. Some of them. So I don't think we need to be adding any more of that. I think Premier League proven because they can come in and hit the ground running and carry on this momentum. When they say big names, if there's one thing I really like about this Arsenal squad is that there isn't that one guy that you're like, yeah, okay, if Jesus gets injured and we got to play Eddie, it's not quite the same level. But you also don't feel like Jesus is like the guy. Like, he's not the star. He said himself he doesn't want to be.
No.
Because
he's going to be, though.
Because I think there'll be games where he's okay and Martinelli's the star, and then Saka's the star. So I quite like that. Listen, Zaha's name gets thrown around. When I see what he did to Liverpool the other day, just that raw power, pace, finish. I just thought, who doesn't want that for 2 years?
I questioned this season thinking, when people ask me, because we used to go back to the Pepe, we could have had Zaha, whatnot, and I was like, I've always wanted Zaha. And then people asked me this season, I was like, maybe he's not got it anymore, he's getting a bit old now, like, he's not going to be able to keep up to these levels. When that game against Liverpool, I thought, I still want Zaha. I still want him. But I love that, by the way, that Hadi, thank you so much for that super chat, because I really like that. Because when we look at profiles of midfielders now, it's funny, I want Kante, and I've wanted him for a while, and he's Premier League proven, but he's a big name to me as well. But I think in the midfield position, Premier League proven is key. I think the intensity of the league, I mean, we've seen Thomas Partey, he's technically a big name. He was a big name, 100%.
Yeah,
he came to Arsenal. He's not been able to, if I'm honest, he hasn't been able to adjust properly. He's been picked up injuries. I don't think he's got to the pace of the Premier League yet. Yes, there's been flashes, but not enough in my opinion. So definitely not a big name, not a hidden gem. We have plenty of them already. So I think Premier League proven is perfect for a midfielder. And I know that does link to Tielemans. I still have questioned his qualities, Tielemans.
Yeah.
But if he comes, I'm not going to be disappointed. When it comes to the winger profile, I don't mind if he's not Premier League proven. I'll be honest. The people I wanted, Zaha, I wanted Sterling as well. They are Premier League proven. But in the winger position, a hidden gem was technically Pepe that failed, in my opinion. So, what would I want? Maybe a big name. Maybe one big name. But maybe one big name, but not one with an ego. And I talk about big names very, very carefully, because you see Man United are currently linked with Casemiro, 60 million and paying double his wages. Like, you can see they're panicking. I don't want to have an Arsenal side. We've been in that position before. I think we've overcome that. But you can see they're clearly panicking. 60 million for Casemiro at his age and whatnot. That is money you probably can't turn down, but it's a mess over there. So yeah, for me, Premier League proven in the midfield, in a winger, I wouldn't mind a big name.
Paul says the thing he'd change is refs coming out and explaining why they gave certain decisions and why they didn't give others. Yeah, it's a good one. But then I was listening to the overlap. Robbie was there with Sky Bet doing the chatting to Jamie Carragher and Neville and lots of fans of their respective clubs, and they made the point that actually, we probably wouldn't benefit as much as we think we would from, interviews after the match. He'd rather we could hear them in real time, like we do in rugby, and we can hear what VAR said. And listen, that is absolutely good enough for me. Like, that would be great, because why not? Why should we not be privy to the information that these referees are using to make really, really key decisions?
True, I think them doing
and then we can slate them after.
Yeah, I was going to say, I just thought about that. The interviews would really be negative. There's not really a win in that situation. It's not like they win the game. It's not like they get plaudits for most decisions that would be questioned, be ones that are very controversial. So I think that listening to them make key decisions is definitely more beneficial. That's good. That's good that they mentioned that on overlap.
They did talk about that.
That's good. Just John with a super chat says All for Nothing. So that's his obviously opinion on the All or Nothing documentary. Vinod says, as good as we have started, and all the optimism, we need a centre mid and a right winger to have quality and in depth to consistently push for top 4 through the season.
Interesting that a lot of people have moved to. Listen, some are still saying it, but a lot of people are talking about a winger. They're not really talking about a striker. I just find that interesting. Jesus can play wide. Vieira can play wide.
That's a great point. And we actually need a backup in that position, considering if he goes down. But yeah,
I would still be happy if we signed Ivan Toney. Some of his passing against United, what handful he is, he's a different. I know it's about getting the plan A right first, but if we did no other business and signed Ivan Toney, I wouldn't be like, oh yes, brilliant, top 4 sealed. But he's a very, very good player. Is that the same
for Zaha then? Because Zaha can play.
Zaha, I think, is actually kind of more what we need, though.
Yeah.
Zaha profile-wise is perfect.
Strong, physical.
It's about whether you can get him out of Palace. It's about whether he wants that challenge
how
now.
How much he's going to be as well.
Because at this rate, he's retiring a Palace legend. So
true.
And he probably still would, even if he came to Arsenal. But yeah.
Very true. Again, we're going back to super chats here. Peanuts says in rugby, a yellow means 10 minutes in the sin bin. It also have mic'd up refs that you mentioned before. You can hear chatting to the VAR. Do you think this would work in the Premier League? Now, we just literally spoke about that, so thank you for that super chat. But yes, we do agree with that. Anthony 2 1993 says centre mid is a must, but Tielemans doesn't fit Arsenal. I think Arsenal wants someone who can press and flexible. Tielemans isn't that type of player. Interesting. And do you know what? You're saying a lot of things that I kind of have alluded to in the past, especially when I was in America. And I said, listen, I wouldn't be angry at it, but I think I'm not fully sold yet. G. Demir says, I'm not saying we don't need a midfielder, but why when's this change happened then? What's going on? The mood's changed. Where have you guys been? I remember when I first brought this up and people were really were questioning it, Robbie especially as well. And so people are doubting Tielemans now. What is that due to? Maybe Leicester's form or what? Where's this all come from? Was this all been everyone's fault in the before?
His performances last year would have played a part. I don't think a lot of people were left completely enamoured after what he did over the last 12 months. Yeah. But bangers outside the box. I think you're reducing him to very little there, Demir. This is a guy who has a wicked cross on him. He's got good short, medium, and long distance passing range. Yeah, I think he's got some trickery in tight spaces. Yeah, he's not a box-to-box, lung-busting midfielder, nor is he a massive tackler. But I think he's a very tactically intelligent player, and I think he's got a lot of quality. Just from a passing range and an ability to, I think he's a very accurate player. We don't really talk about players' accuracy because you're talking about their passing, their shooting, but generally, I think he's one who is able to put the ball where he wants to put it, quite effectively. And I think Arsenal need that a little bit. I think they need players who are dependable. Look Thomas Partey's shooting, for example. We know he can strike a ball, but how many have flown over the bar, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's that with Tielemans. You get this degree of maybe safety in possession, I think, anyway.
Which I think Arteta loves, by the way.
Whilst being creative.
Yeah, which I think Arteta really enjoys from a player is protecting the ball and how precise they can be. Look, you can literally look at All or Nothing documentary. He does passing drills where you can't lose the ball. Whoever loses it does 5 press-ups. There's times where he has to start again, a passing drill, if you lose the ball or give it away. I used to hate those training sessions. But yeah, those you can see he's very much on that and wants a technical player that can protect the ball. So Tielemans...
NVR is right. He says, James, Tielemans is a Tony Kroos type player. And I agree. He's more of that, if you've got your holding midfielder and you've got your attacking midfielder, he's the link between. He's the one who will get it off the defence, will complement the defensive midfielder defensively when he needs to, but can also press with the front player, but can also create for those in front while the other creative midfielder is doing it. But you've got to be pretty all action. So stamina is a big part of that to a degree. And listen, there are question marks over that in terms of raw pace and physical kind of power in Yuri Tielemans. But I think he's got most other things. So I'd be happy to sign him. I think he could play in any of those 3 roles. I think he could do what Xhaka does on the left. I think he could, slot in as the number 6, and I think he could be a creator.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Now, the thing with me is this Xhaka replacement. I feel like Xhaka seems like he's going to be here. Like I said, I don't see many links in leaving Arsenal. And if you may not have seen it, but in the under-21s game, I mentioned this earlier off camera, in the under-21s game, it was him there with Mikel Arteta. Xhaka was there, Martinelli was there, but Xhaka was sat next to Mikel Arteta, and obviously Per Mertesacker was there as well, and Albert was also there. But Xhaka's very much involved, and he is. He is, and like Robbie did mention, he said you can see he's a leader there, but he does seem like the one that Arteta goes to when it comes to addressing the players or in around the changing rooms, in around training facility, to be that kind of senior figure. So as much as I know he does get some criticism for a lot of the fan base, he definitely provides something because Arteta clearly trusts him, and I don't actually see him leaving this window at all. But it would be nice to see an addition in that midfield. I even think, not even just to highlight maybe the inequalities of Xhaka, but also Partey as well. I think people keep forgetting, and Thomas Partey, quality player, but he has an injury record and sometimes he can't be relied on. So a midfield improvement is definitely needed, and that's not just because of, I know everyone always goes to, like I said, the Xhaka replacement, but there's more to that in my opinion. So
RF asks who had a better season last year, Xhaka or Tielemans? Well, I can tell you that Xhaka definitely had the better last game. And last season, probably Xhaka. Yeah,
Xhaka had a good last season.
I think had a better season than Tielemans last year.
Doesn't get a lot of credit for his season that Xhaka did actually.
No. I mean, I didn't watch Tielemans anywhere near as much as Xhaka, but yeah, I think Xhaka probably had a better one. But it's not just about who had the better last year, right? Pick that, we'll look at the 2-3 before that, then look at their age, look at their potential, look at what they've could then offer.
They've achieved.
And one of the things that's gone against Xhaka is a lot of people wondering, well, other than what I see, what more do you have to offer? Right. Which is why I think everyone's really enjoyed this box-to-box role, because it's like, granite, okay. Yeah. I guess there's that. But the debate will go on. Listen, a proper club, or at least if we want to be a proper club, and Xhaka is Arteta's man, you get both.
A super chat here from Hamada. Thank you so much for your super chat. He didn't leave a comment, but thank you so much for sending that through. And Olu Kayode says, hey guys, it's Olu from the US. Met you both in Florida and we had dinner at the JM restaurant. When are the next episodes of All or Nothing being released? Well, they released today? 1 a.m. this morning, so they're out. The whole documentary is now out for you guys to view over on Amazon. So go check out. And all our reviews also live on AFTV. So go check out. Hamada says, do you think we could transform Tavares into a goal-scoring winger like how Bale did at Spurs now?
I get the idea. I do. He's pretty tall, I think, Tavares. He's physical. I think he's tall. He looks tall to me. And he's quite good with both feet, and he clearly likes to go forward. Yeah. He's raw and all that, but
Premier League,
I just think ultimately no, because he's not showing a knack for goal and goal creation. I know he is out in Marseille, but at Arsenal didn't. But maybe at Marseille he'll come back and he'll have shown everyone, listen, I'm more of a forward. Which, we always look at. Zinchenko is moving to left back. Fabian Delph, midfielder, moving back to left back. Sergio Gomez was a midfielder and he's moved to left back. Anderlecht and now signed by Man City. So there's a history of creative players actually moving back and learning how to defend and being effective from there. We don't always hear about defenders actually proving they've got some skill. Like Ben White, no one's talked about him in midfield, and Arteta's not really thought about. Well, someone today actually, we were filming outside the Emirates, someone did say Ben White as holding midfielder. So, it wouldn't be for me. I think he lacks a little bit too much guile.
Yeah, I think when it comes to defenders going up front, you rarely, or more wing or wide, you never really see that. You hear them talk about defenders start off as strikers when they're really young, and end up falling back, but never making their way from, especially in top flight football, from the back to the front. Now we are.
Sorry, just quickly. Sorry, gunning you down says Bale had technical qualities from the start. The man scored a free kick on his Wales debut. Yeah, and he scored a great goal against Arsenal as well from a free kick. We did beat them. I remember Adebayor scoring a great goal that day. But so there's that technique. But sorry, you were saying.
And also on top of that, Bale had undeniable pace. Like, I know Tavares is quick, but compared to at the time, Bale was. Speed was a joke. Is his biggest asset. So let's get into that. So we're going to get into the last kind of section of the show. What the title is. 2 weeks. You know how I always do. Leave it right to the end. I know you guys have been waiting for this. Just a little talk of what is to come. 2 weeks left before the window closes. I'm going to put up a graphic onto the screen now of basically what clubs have spent and where they kind of rank of their spending. Now you can see on the image there. You'll see what the clubs have spent and what they've also brought in the green, and then on the far right hand side you'll see the players, the equity, whether they've made a loss or if they've in green made a profit. So on your screen right now you'll see that, and you'll see the rank as well. So you can see Chelsea up in first there. It's £167 million spent. While this is on your screen here, take a look and take it all in. £26 million of outgoing, so obviously they've made a loss of £141 million there. Now we're going to look at the Premier League teams. This is what you can see in the graphic there. We've got Arsenal actually sitting fourth. Spent really well. There was a big period of time when we were the highest spenders in Europe, but now that's been overtaken. But spent really well. I think people are very happy with what they've seen so far from the signings. Whether you want to see more come in, that's obviously a question. I know a lot of us do here. But really good to see we got business done early. Got the players in early. A lot of what we screamed for last season but didn't happen. It's proven to reap its rewards. West Ham, they're in fifth. 111 million spent, 16 made back, 95 million lost. Now, this is another person who had a really good window. Man City, I didn't know this. Spent 109 million. But let out 143. Obviously, we contributed to a lot of that as well. But £34 million in equity, done good business, and look instead for a good title challenge again. Really, I think they're going to be really up there. Really good window. Obviously, Haaland's proven to be a good asset to them. And then Tottenham in seventh there. I don't know why. Oh, Leeds. I put Leeds in 11th. I missed out Tottenham, but Tottenham are in 7th. Apologies there. That should be there instead of Leeds. And it doesn't say 11th, but yeah, Tottenham 107 million spent, 34 million let go, and then 73 million. So they haven't made much profit at all. But obviously, I think they made some good signings as well. I think they've been really competitive in this window. Someone to definitely worry. And obviously, Nottingham Forest. They are looking to make their 16th signing in this window.
Just the 16?
Just the 16. Been linked to Gibbs White as well, very recently as well. So they're saying it's going to be around the 25 to 40 million with add-ons mark. Obviously, there's English tax involved. There's why it's pushed up so much. But they are making signings. Whether that will keep them in the Premier League, we see many clubs make signings before and still not stay up. But I think they've done quite good business there. They're sitting in ninth, and Wolves are just above them. But that is the spending graph so far, and the ranks as well, James. I mean, people doing good business this window. Are you happy with obviously Arsenal's one, but are you worried about other people's and how competitive they've made signings? How competitive
everyone's always going to sign players because. You've got two ends of the spectrum. You might have a team that's on the brink of winning a title that is successful, in which case to be successful you have to spend money and have a culture which accepts that you've got to keep refreshing and keep adding quality players. Or the other side of the coin is you get a Man United crisis, and what are they going to do? They're going to spend money.
Yeah.
So either way, the money's going to be spent. So there's no point getting worked up on what other clubs are doing. I mean, sometimes we do a little too much of that. I understand when we miss out on players we want. And listen, if we don't get Tielemans and we don't sign anyone, I might be doing that myself. I'll be like, we let him go to Man United or whatever it might be. True. So yeah. But, everyone's strengthening. I just want Arsenal to do what they've got to do right. Yeah. And then I'm not really so worried about the others. You kind of got to hope they get it wrong. And more often than not, they do kind of go wrong.
Sorry to cut you. Let's do this. Because I've just looked at the graph. I've looked at, things. I like things that involve everyone as well, so everyone can get involved in this as well. What signing has made the most impact for the clubs, really? Who's if we rank it, because you can say, listen, we heavily look at Arsenal, so we know how much Gabriel Jesus has brought to this Arsenal side. For me, definitely a contender there. William Saliba, not a new signing, but in defence, has completely changed that. So he's definitely up there. Haaland, obviously, for City, scored 2 goals, doing well. I think he's kind of that missing piece for Man City. So a signing that's obviously hit the ground running straight away. Chelsea, I mean, they've got the likes of Sterling, Koulibaly, I suppose you can put in there.
Actually had a shaky start against Spurs and then just got the goal and looked immense. From that point, everything just tidied up and he looked awesome. Okay,
so Koulibaly's in there. Sterling, I don't think had a major impact. But what about some other names that you might think, what they've had a big impact since they've signed? Who's kind of in there for you? You've got City, you got West Ham, you got Tottenham, you got Wolves. Nottingham Forest. I'm trying to think of any players that have really shined. Those are the kind of the big ones, really, aren't they?
So players who've come and had an instant impact.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no doubt Jesus and Zinchenko up there. Haaland, because of the way it's changed the dynamic at City. The guy completed 2 passes in that game against Bournemouth. Yeah, 2. One of them was kickoff. So he completed 2 passes the whole match, which I couldn't believe that. I could not believe that stat. And actually,
it's crazy. I didn't know that.
That shows an evolution in City. I just thought there'd never be a time ever where Guardiola would say that a player can complete 2 passes a game and be happy with his performance. But he looked a threat and he got an assist, and that's ultimately what is important. Yeah. So I think he's definitely an interesting one. Anyone who's come in there and immediately changed, I'm not. What? We're laughing at.
Gunny, that says Lissandro. Man is already part of one of United's historical losses. That was another way to look at it. I love the comments. Yeah. That was another way to look at it. What an impression. We answered the question, they had an impact.
Do you know what's crazy about him is that I don't think he's even played that badly, but he's just had a few moments.
Yeah, they targeted him, to be fair, but he wasn't but you're right, he wasn't terrible.
But it's so funny because Martinez is designed to be a centre-back that has enough of the ball.
Yeah.
People say Nunes. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, listen, it's can you think of one signing that you're like, bar Jesus, that you're like, yes, he's had an impact?
I mean,
I'm trying to think sort of more
lower positioned clubs.
Oh, I thought Boubacar Kamara for Villa looked really good the other day.
Good.
I thought he looked really good.
Good. Anyone else I've got in mind? Lower the league positions. Yeah. Oh, some people are saying.
Who came on for Brighton the other day? He looked electric. I can't remember. I don't know about Cucurella.
No, I don't know about him either.
I think I said Cucurella looked very classy the other day, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's kind of come in and made an immediate difference.
Haaland for me is number one. I think City can do something spectacular this season. It's one of my big shouts that is kind of, no one's really agreeing with. Either they're going to go invincible, I believe, this season, or get the Champions League for me. I think they've got everything clicking. The goalkeeper, Dean Henderson. Did he make? Is he the one? He made the. I think he was good as well. So yeah, but anyway, that's that for that. For there, I was going to read up some of the super chats before we wrap up as well, just to finish off. I saw a lot of them rolling towards the end of this, so thank you everyone getting that.
I'm sorry, I've been a zombie all stream. We've all been very tired.
Yeah, we've been up since we woke up at 1 a.m. Like you said, we've gone to bed really late and we had a lot of filming today, but that's just how it is. But we're here for you guys until every show every 5 p.m. and we'll be back again tomorrow. Let me just finish off with the super chats. Shref says, if FA wanted to improve the referee standards, VAR, they would have done it years back. Most watched league in the world, VAR are hiding more this year. Brit refs are never there at the World Cup, Europa.
Hashtag Wenger was right. What did he say?
I think he said about
no, there was a great Wenger quote. I can't remember about referees. Anyway,
all right.
I will find it.
Jason says, rewatching the game, I thought Saka was fine. We were just attacking down the left a lot. I also think Tomiyasu Saka looks different than White Saka.
Maybe some truth in that. I just thought some of Saka's best performances actually came when he had Cedric as well, because Cedric overlapped and would take a man, so he was left with a little bit more space.
Yeah, very true. Ali here says, with the super chat says, Tielemans can play different roles and would benefit from exposure to better players.
I agree with that.
A centre forward needed more than a right winger. Jesus Marquinhos can fill in there.
And Vieira. So yeah, I mean, again, it's more about getting certain numbers who can cover these positions and cover them well, because elsewhere we do have options if it gets to that. But what you don't want to start doing is going, we're going to move Martinelli up front because we've got injuries. And yes, he can play up front. Yes, he counts as a third striker, but then your left back cover is not adequate. Listen, it's Smith Rowe. It's very adequate, but you get my point. That's what you want to avoid.
Cyrus with the last super chat says, James, a language professor told me Jesus speaks a dialect of Portuguese which pronounces Jesus as Jesus. Please let Laurie know.
I will let him know. I think he was just in the room, actually.
Yeah, he just popped in, but
we will let him know that he was right with his Jesus pronunciation.
Oh, here's the quote.
Oh yeah, he says, if I die, I'm going to ask God where the referees are before choosing between heaven and hell. Arsene Wenger's quote.
Thank you for production for showing us that before we finish. Listen, big up everyone who joined in this live. You know what it is already. We really appreciate it. Thank you for getting involved. We love having you guys involved in it and being very interactive. Like I said, the All or Nothing review is on the channel now, so go check that out.
Check that out.
Make sure you go have a look at that, and also be prepared, obviously, for the Bournemouth this Saturday. There's going to be plenty of content coming your way in likes of previews and box to box. So check out all of that coming your way on the channel as well. Don't forget to hit a like on this video. There's just currently 3,337 of you in here. Get the likes up to 1,000. We'd really appreciate it. And subscribe here if you're new. And you know what? We never say this. Hit the notification bell. Yes, we do upload a lot, so it may ring a lot. But hey, you're going to be joined with us every day or more time.
Who's calling me? Oh wait, AFTV is uploaded.
Yeah, every hour. But yeah, come and join us. That's what it's about.
Hey, we're covering it all.
Yes.
You can't say that. You can't say we're not.
Exactly that, and we're leveling up on content. So thank you, and thank you, James, for joining me.
Thank you,
guys. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 5 p.m. Peace.